afternoon. Welcome to the Extension Hour. I'm Amy Ressler, County Extension Agent for Family and Community Health. I have my coworker here with me today, Brandon Gregson, who is County Extension Agent for Ag and Natural Resources. And you know what, we use lots of names and lots of acronyms, but this is all about the Extension Hour. So it's not just individual programs. It's a lot about all the kinds of things that we do in Extension, because we're about people, programs, and partnerships, helping Texans make their lives better. And so we do that by sharing lots of information with people. But you know, we can't do that all by ourselves. One of the strengths of Extension and one of the awesome things that we have is so many wonderful volunteers that help us in so many different ways. So whenever there is some type of really strong passion that people have and want to help and share with other people, then we have those opportunities through volunteer opportunities. And we have two of those here today. We have two members of our Adult Horse Committee. So in Extension, we have lots of committees for different things. And so I think that this is interesting that it's called the Adult Horse Committee. And we will talk a little bit about kind of like where that name came from and what all that means. But first, let's introduce our guest. So we have Marilyn Kinney with us today. Marilyn, say hi.
Hello.
Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I've been a member of the Montgomery County Adult Horse Committee, MCAHC. It gets a really long if you write it out.
Yeah.
I've been a member since 1985.
It's been a while. Been a minute or two.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I've lived here since 1979.
Okay.
So, and I've owned horses starting in 82.
Oh, wow.
So I was a late bloomer, and I got involved in some programs, and they'll always pass them out a list, going like, you want to join? Mm-hmm. Yes. So that's how I became a member. I wanted to see more programs put on and know about them before they happen.
Okay. Well, we are so happy to have you here today, Marilyn. I know you are a wealth of knowledge. We also have Laura Alexander. So, Laura, you haven't quite been a member as long as Marilyn.
Not quite as long as Marilyn, but I started about 3 years ago. But I started attending programs that the Horse Committee put on when I was in high school.
Okay.
So I was aware of them, and when I decided I really wanted to get involved and help them bring some really good quality programs to the area, that was a great way to get involved in the community and give back a little bit.
Oh, great. So we are glad to have you today as well. So, Marilyn, the Adult Horse Committee was already in existence before you started, right?
Yes. We're actually established in 1979.
Okay.
And when I joined, we had quite a few members back then. We sort of lost some, gained some.
Yeah,
lost
that happens.
some. And we used to be very active. We haven't been as active much lately just because of either hurricanes happening or getting the information out to the people. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're hoping to do, is get more word about us out so people know who we are. We're
Sure.
not, think of us as the other side of the 4-H. We're the adults in the horse committee. We're putting on those programs instead of like the kids who are learning about the programs.
Right. And so you bring up 4-H. One of the things we want to mention about the Extension Hour, this is a perfect time to sign up for 4-H. Of course, you can sign up, any time, but around, what is it, September 1st through October something?
Into October, something like that.
So that's when registration fee is a little less, and then it goes up like $5 for after that. But you can really join anytime. And horse is really one of our big 4-H projects as well. And so, Brandon, you just passed your first anniversary with us here in Montgomery County.
1 year, solid.
and you're still here. Yay.
I'm still here.
Came to us from San Jacinto County,
Yes.
but you're actually a native, grew up here in Conroe. So,
Yes.
And committees are really important. So,
Very important.
did you have a horse committee over in San Jacinto County?
San Jacinto County, we did not. We had a small group of kids that participated in Horse Project. We did a lot of youth rodeo stuff over there, not a lot of trail or horsemanship, things like that. Had the horse interest, but not an organized committee. Now, where I was before, very, very, in Brazos County, very, very active adult horse committee, very similar to the one here. So, anyway.
Yeah, another cool thing about Extension is that every county is a little bit different, and so it's really tailored to the needs and the interest of the county. So you've got a lot of people that are interested in horses and want to learn more about horses and also want to support the 4-H program with horses. Then an adult horse committee just makes sense.
Right.
Montgomery County has tons of horses.
Yeah. Do you any idea how
I don't know
many?
I know we've talked about
I
the
was
number before.
trying to pick up some numbers before I came in here, and I
It's-
didn't quite make it, but I mean, there's a bunch. This is
Yeah.
a hot spot for horse
Very
ownership,
much.
so.
Very much. And it's
Yeah.
growing.
You know, and to mention the San Jacinto County not having that big of a horse committee, we actually have participation in horse-related events over here that cross the county lines.
yeah.
Because this is such an active spot, we have a lot of people that come from other counties to participate in things over here, so.
And we try and tailor our programs to what the community is really interested in. So things that are really well attended, we try and put on an ongoing basis.
So tell me some examples of those. So before we were talking about, some of the things that we wanted to talk about today, and you guys are like really, really busy.
Yeah.
You do lots of
We've
stuff.
got a lot of, because of all the horse thefts that are going on in the area, one of our big focuses is positive identification of horses. So one of the big ways.
Can I interrupt you for just a
Sure.
second? So positive identification of horses, like, yes, that's a horse and not a cow.
Yes. Well, that helps.
That's a start, yeah.
So you're talking to someone who doesn't know a whole lot about those things.
We start with what breeds of horses look like, what the different colors are called, so that if you see a horse running down the side of the road and you need to call the police department, you can tell them, instead of that looks like a horse running down the side of the road, you can tell them it's a black horse or a bay horse, or give them some kind of positive ID. It also, we do freeze branding clinic, which is positive identification. The brands have to be registered with the county, and then we can freeze brand your animal, so that if it is located somewhere, they can contact the county and figure out who registered that brand and get your animal returned to you. And there's also microchipping available, but as Marilyn was mentioning to me earlier, the microchipping only helps once the horse has been recovered and they can actually scan the animal for a microchip, where a freeze brand is visible from the road if the horse is in a pasture somewhere. So that's been very helpful in relocating lost or stolen animals to their owners.
Okay, so you mentioned the freeze branding clinic. Let's talk about, because that's actually coming up pretty soon, September 21st. Freeze branding clinic, and tell us more about what that means, what you guys are going to do.
Well, it's going to be held at the Extension office. We held one, last year, and what was it, in the fall?
We've held them the third week of May every year for many years,
Yeah.
but not everybody, we did it on a weeknight, and not everyone gets a chance to come. And we have surrounding counties, but the brand has to be registered in the county that your animal is in,
Okay.
not necessarily you.
With your county clerk's office.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we've decided that we've had people, well, missed it. Well, let's do one on a Saturday, and let's do it about half, so give people another chance.
And that'll be
Two.
at the Extension office this time.
So yeah, Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service,
Right.
our office there, which is at 9020 Airport Road, right across the street from the Lone Star Convention Center, for people that are familiar with that. So pretty easy to find, but if you need directions, definitely call it. You can Google it, although there's some old maps that still have like 1485 or something on it.
1484.
Yes,
It used to
and
be
then they moved it to another place.
I live off of 1484.
So that probably was very confusing.
We need an RSVP, so if you're planning on doing it, and you can call us up, till the day before, I guess, and let us know that you're gonna come, but we would like to know how many to prepare for. I mean, I have to go out and get liquid nitrogen, because that's how we actually do the freeze branding, is we have the irons there. You can have your own unique character, obviously, for your brand, but we have the irons there to actually place the brand on the horse, and we do that with liquid nitrogen, hence freeze branding. So, and for those that are concerned, freeze versus fire branding, when you're talking about the animal and how it feels, very minimal in terms of feeling anything. It's pretty non-invasive in terms of pain. So.
And then the benefits of the safety that we're talking
Yes,
about, being able to
absolutely.
identify that animal and get it back to its
It
owner.
comes
and
out
that
as a
kind of thing
very
is-
visible white brand on the horse.
And if it's on a white horse, it comes out black.
Black, yeah.
Mine are on black horses,
Okay,
and I have an MK, and you can see it from the road.
good.
So it is a deterrent. I tell kids sometimes it's sort of like a car alarm. It helps your animal from being stolen.
If it's got a brand on it, then you know it belongs to someone and they can
don't lose
track
as many
it.
with brands.
Yeah. Okay, so that freeze branding clinic is again on Saturday, September 21st. It will be 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., but an RSVP is necessary. You can do that even the day before.
Yeah.
So you can do that by calling the Extension office, 936-539-7822. So the flyer here says by September 17th, but we want to get those animals branded, so
Right, real important.
it's fine. Yeah, and then there is a fee for $20 just to cover supplies, and is liquid nitrogen expensive?
It's not real expensive, but, a full tank of it's about, $40, $50. So.
Yeah, so you can come for $20 just to get,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to come back. We'll talk a little bit more about the horse committee. And then also before we leave today, we're going to talk about what does horse ownership really means. We have people often that talk about, oh, I want to own a horse because it sounds glamorous, right? So we'll talk about just how glamorous that is when we get back. But you are listening to the Extension Hour, our people, our programs, and our partnerships. And we'll be back in just a minute. Family and community health programs provide science-based education designed to improve the overall health and wellness of individuals, families, and communities. Developed by experts and delivered locally, topics include child and adult health, nutrition, child care, financial management, passenger and community safety, and building strong families, all encouraging lifelong health and well-being for every person, every family, and every community. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make their lives better.
A Lone Star Community Radio is ready for the summer. If you or anyone you know is looking for summer internship opportunities, a Lone Star Community Radio is a great place to grab the mic and be on the air. A Lone Star Community Radio offers a great opportunity to those interested in learning about the radio world all year round. Be an on-air personality, talk show producer, or YouTube, TV, podcast editor. Contact the station at info@irlonestar.com or call the station's message line at 936-647-3776.
What can the Better Living for Texans program do for you? You can learn how to increase your consumption of fruits and vegetables, choose foods that are relatively inexpensive and good to eat, make your food dollars last longer, prepare quick, nutritious meals, help your children learn how to eat healthier snacks, and much more. Our program is committed to helping people like you improve your health through providing research-based nutrition education in a friendly, cost-free, and relaxed environment. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make their lives better.
Listen in Mondays at noon to hear Conroe news from local nonprofits, businesses, upcoming events, Conroe Park events, news stories, and information that matters to you with your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information about being a guest, visit irlonestar.com/Conroe Culture.
Welcome back. This is the Extension Hour, Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. Our mission is helping Texans make their lives better, and we do that in a variety of ways. And one way is having committees that specialize in certain topics and program areas to help individuals. So before it gets away from me, let me make sure that I mention the Master Gardeners is something that a lot of people are familiar with what Extension does. We have a great Master Gardener group that do lots of things. And so on September 14th, they have one of their Saturday series of classes coming up. And there's 2 sessions that are offered when they do these on Saturdays. So Saturday, September 14th is the next one. The first session will be 8 to 10. That will be on patio gardening. So you don't necessarily have to have a big yard. You can do lots of great things just right there on your patio. And then session 2, which will be 10:30 to 12:30, that will be landscaping for curb appeal. So if you do have a big yard or even a small yard, making it look nice and the landscaping. And so that will be, again, Saturday, September 14th. That's 1 at 8, and the other one starts at 10:30. And you can come to one or both. So there's a nominal fee for it. It's like $5 for one or $8 for both, and that covers supplies and refreshments and that kind of thing. That will also be held at the Extension office, same place as a Freeze Branding Clinic. We try to do lots of things there because we've got a really great facility there to offer lots of a variety of classes. So that's at 9020 Airport Road, right across the street from the Lone Star Convention Center. And it will. So if you can register, you can actually just show up. So 936-539-7824 is one of the numbers. And so earlier we said for the Freeze Branding Clinic to call 7822. There's several numbers, though, but they all get you to the same place so that you can find out what's going on. And then also our Master Gardeners have a website that has lots of information. They also have a Facebook page. So their website is www.mcmga.com, and that it will have their classes and things coming up with them. And then the other thing that people are always interested in is the fall plant sale that will come up on October 5th. And that they do a presentation at 8, then they start selling plants at 9, and
It's a madhouse to get plants.
it is, yeah. There's hundreds of people, like literally hundreds of people that come to that. So it's pretty awesome. They're very well known for their plant sale.
Bring a wagon.
yeah, definitely bring a wagon. So today we are talking though about horses. So we've got Marilyn Kinney and Laura Alexander, who are both members of the horse committee, the adult horse committee. We mentioned earlier that 4-H has a very active horse program as well. And then we also have the very illustrious Brandon Gregson with us today. Our
Illustrious.
Yeah, illustrious. You like
Nice.
that? Yeah, I'm going to come up with better adjectives. We have lovely women and an illustrious ag agent. Anyway, speaking of illustrious, one of the things that we talked about is how glamorous it is to own a horse, right? And what did you say in the break, Laura?
There's nothing quite as glamorous as shoveling after your horse.
Yeah, because they tend to do that.
The more you feed them.
Yeah. So speaking of feeding them, owning them, that kind of thing. So one of the things that the Adult Horse Committee does, similar to what we just talked about with the Master Gardeners, they provide educational opportunities to help people learn more about horses, owning horses, that kind of thing. And you know what? Actually, we skipped over kind of earlier about the purpose of the Adult Horse Committee. So you help support 4-H, so the 4-H program. But what else? What are the other purposes of the Adult Horse Committee?
Well, basically just to put on educational programs and also shows that will benefit horse enthusiasts, not necessarily even just horse owners, but anybody who's interested in Montgomery County and the surrounding areas. It's not limited to Montgomery County.
Okay.
We put on hands-on clinics. We put on indoor programs. Usually during the winter, it's more indoor programs. But we do hands-on where you can actually
Touch a horse.
touch a horse, learn how to check their teeth, do the conformation. But we have a lot of indoor ones that we get a lot of help from A&M. We get some of their vets who have world-renowned, skills.
Right,
So
right.
we have a variety, we do them on weekend, like Tuesdays or Thursdays sometimes, or we'll do a weekend one, like a Saturday, so that we try to open it up so everybody has the opportunity to participate, not just, on a Saturday when you might work.
Right.
So we try to open it up to get more people involved by having different days and different times and
And we
see
try
what's
and-
best for them.
And try and put on a variety of different programs that would be interesting to the community. So, some of them are schooling shows when horse owners are getting ready for the big shows. We've done emergency preparedness clinics, which has been a big item of interest in the last couple years with so many people having to evacuate their animals for the flooding. We've done question and answer panels with vets about any type of concerns that people have that they haven't brought up to their own vet. We've done nutrition clinics where people learn how to feed a horse, or just introductory clinics on, you want a horse, what do you do, what do you need, for housing, for nutrition, for just basic horse care. We've done barn management clinics where we've actually gone out to big boarding barns and learned how the facilities operate and what you need to consider if you're wanting to put one in, as far as land management, drainage, things that you don't think of, maybe pest management, mosquito misting systems. There's just all kinds of things you can think of. We've done trailer safety programs where you learn how to safely connect and load your horses into a trailer, because that's a big concern for new owners that are not familiar with how to trailer horses. And we've even last year did an emergency rescue clinic for large animals. And there were a lot of things that I had never considered about having to rescue large animals, and they do get into some strange situations.
Septic tanks.
Yeah, that too.
A horse in a septic tank. Huh?
Well, part of them anyway.
So we use a lot of terms, I think, that make sense to us, but maybe not to other people. So we talked about the freeze branding clinic, and you just mentioned another clinic. So let's talk a little bit. What is a clinic really? I mean, because like I'm thinking that's where you go to the doctor, right? You go to the clinic, you get immunizations, whatever. So when we're talking in terms of extension, a clinic is what?
Clinics, workshops, depending on what you want to call it. I mean, it's an opportunity for education. Most importantly, it's usually hands-on, experiential type education where you get to actually do something, learning by doing. And a lot of times when we're doing one related to livestock or animals, we are doing something like that, like the freeze branding, seeing what we're doing, actually probably helping us, with the irons and things like that, helping us load the horse and things like that. Some of those clinics where you're talking about how to check teeth and properly fit a saddle and things like that, you're probably getting to do somewhat hands-on. You're probably not all going to be down there helping do stuff, but they're learning by doing, learning by seeing type of programs. They're educational opportunities. Our clinics are.
Sure.
So.
And of course, extension is all about education, and probably everything that we do, we try to have some type of educational component to it. So whether it's a clinic or a workshop or a what other kind of
Question and answer panel.
all of those things are learning opportunities. There's one coming up on November 1st that we wanted to mention, Nancy Cahill.
Yes, we have used Nancy Cahill several times in the past. She's an excellent horseman. One of her, this is being sponsored by the Greater Houston Quarter Horse Association. We're a co-sponsor. We're providing the facilities. They're doing all the registration and everything like that. We house them out here at the local fairgrounds here in Conroe. But she is AQHA Horsewoman of the Year, a coach of AQHA and USA World Cup team for 21 years. She's trained and shown multiple AQHA, which is American Quarter Horse.
Thanks.
So, well, I have Tennessee Walkers, but anyway. But she is exceedingly knowledgeable lady. This clinic will be, a horsemanship clinic will be on November 2nd at 9 a.m., and the trail clinic will be November 3rd. People are allowed to come in on November 1st, the night before. We have stalls and electrical hookups for most anybody who has the big trailers with sleeping quarters. This is going to have to do with learning techniques to help connect you and your horse, improve you and your horse skills. You've got to communicate. Doesn't do you any good to know it if you can't transfer that information to the horse. So how to approach a maneuver over the obstacles and patterns, which is it's a big thing now. There's a lot of competition out there called trail obstacle.
Okay.
So you and your horse have got to know what you're doing. And to work with, and she works with riders of all levels and disciplines. This can be your first horse. This can be the horse you had horses for 30 years. But it's a way she brings out your skills and shows you how to communicate with your horse. So and this helps the horse learn. It also helps for them to be around other horses during this. So she's a very knowledgeable, lady. There is as far as like now, I believe their riders are full.
Yeah, we're full.
But they also have audit where you can come and take notes, watch it being done. You just don't have your horse with you. And that's free. So this is a great way, maybe next time you want to bring your horse. This lets you know what you're getting into. And it's at the Lone Star Arena.
Okay.
And the horse committee will be out there helping set stalls up and help people get settled. And we'll be there sort of behind the scenes running around doing stuff.
Okay, so just to come and watch is free,
To come and watch is free.
but to participate with your horse, there is a fee for that.
Yeah, each clinic is $150. It's $250 if they attend both.
Okay.
So you can attend one and not the other. Maybe you're not interested in doing trail, or you're not, But it doesn't cost anything to come watch it.
Okay. And how do people find out or sign up for this?
You can, let me see.
We can call our office.
Yeah, you can.
Because Brandon knows everything.
Yeah,
He's a
and they have
list.
the list. They have the list. Like I said, the horse participation is full at this time, but you never know. You can put your name on the list. Someone might drop out because something happens.
Sure.
So you can be put on a list, and then you come watch it.
Yeah.
And it's not an age limit on, you can bring your, if you have a young daughter or son that's interested, this would be a great way for them
Yeah.
to see what's going on.
Right. Helpful just to,
Yes.
to watch to begin with, and then, before you get into it. Because like we said, one of the things that we want to talk about is like, what does it really mean to own a horse? But
Well,
Brandon, you had something
one
you
thing
want to say.
too, just to note, is that, our Adult Horse Committee has a Facebook page.
Okay.
So a lot of programs that they're going to be offering will be posted there, just to advertise. But you could also ask questions on that deal too.
Yes.
Find
We do
out
have a
if
comment.
things are full.
Right, we do have a comment, and there's a couple of us that answered those comments. But it is the Montgomery County Adult Horse Committee. And we have quite a few people that follow us, and we publish what we're doing, and we'll get, comments and questions, and we're open to new ideas.
Right.
Awesome.
And new members.
And new members.
Because now you said you guys do fun stuff too. I mean, and there's a lot of education and fun. Sometimes it make it sound like, oh, we just do educational things, but we have fun. So tell me about some of the fun stuff that you guys do with the Adult Horse Committee.
I think my favorite was going down and touring the Houston Police Department's Mounted Patrol Division. And we did that, I think, 2 years ago. But that was a really, really neat tour. And I think we learned a lot of good information. But what else?
Well, since I've been going out with them since '85, we have visited the Texas A&M. We have visited a breeding farm outside of Anderson, Navasota area. We learned about artificial insemination and breeding. We've attended a miniature horse racing thing. I didn't know they did that, but we have actually went and saw the Lepizanos when they were down at the summit. It's been a few years ago, and we try to find something that's horse-related, but we're not taking the horses to it. We're going to be the spectators and enjoy it. But we're maybe going to one, maybe hopefully up at New Waverly. There's a training facility up there. So we want to go learn new things too, so that we can help maybe promote something from that. So.
And if we haven't already mentioned it, membership in the Adult Horse Committee is free.
Yes.
And it's open to anybody. How often do you guys meet?
As needed.
That's needed, but several times a year.
Yeah, depending on, we try to meet, like we've been meeting, we'll try to set up possibilities for this year, next year. We just had a couple meetings trying to get ideas. So now we're in the process of trying to put these clinics together to see if we can get the facility, if we can get the instructors. We do a lot with vets, with local vets. So we're open to, you don't even have to have a horse. If you're just interested in this, we try to give enough notice.
Notice. Let's call it notice. Warning, we're having a meeting.
But
Feels like that sometimes. But, I mean, for us, not for you guys, because you guys are fun.
But we have a core of us that do most of everything, and we've just got some new members. I want to say fresh blood. That may not terminology you want to use, but we do need fresh ideas. We've been doing this a long time, and we've had things in the past we've traveled, we've used, and we want to see what's the community want? What do you want to learn? And so we'll try to put it together for you. And Facebook has been a good friend to us because we'll publish it. Someone else publish it. I share it on my Facebook page. So we need people to help us to know what they want us to do. Because we'll put on about anything that is feasible. And we very rarely charge for our clinics unless we maybe have to pay the instructor or something. And so we very rarely charge for our programs. If we do, it's a very nominal fee, depending on what the instructor requires.
So definitely Facebook is a good way to connect if
Yes.
you're interested. You can also, again, call the Extension office, talk to Brandon. He knows everything, 936-539-7822. And so this is for people that are interested in horse, just people that want to learn more, but there all are a lot of opportunities. And so we want to talk more, too, about, you mentioned this is a hot spot for horse rescue. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about what does it mean to really own a horse. But we're going to take another little break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. You're listening to the Extension Hour, People, Programs, Partnerships, right here on Lone Star Radio. We'll be right back.
You're going to need me.
You're going to need us.
All of us.
You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food.
You're going to need our determination, our compassion.
You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring.
And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
Today, 4-H is growing the next generation of leaders.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show. With monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
An estimated 1 in 10 births will result in a neonatal intensive care stay, also known as the NICU. Overnight, a family can find themselves and their newborn baby in a critical situation. The Mila Foundation financially and spiritually assists families in need. If you would like to volunteer or become a monthly sponsor, please visit us at www.themilafoundation.org. Again, that's www.themilafoundation.org, because every life matters.
This is Rick, TRC. Every Tuesday on my show, Afternoons with Lone Star from 3 to 7, I play back-to-back classic rock hits. That's right. I like to call it a 2 for Tuesday or a 3 for whatever it is you'd like. Call the request line, 936-647-3776, or message me on Facebook, Afternoons with Lone Star, make a music request. That's right, you can do it. Here's what else. Go over to our website, irlonestar.com. Get the app on your phone. It's easy. You'll like it.
Welcome back to the Extension Hour. People, program partnerships, Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service, all about education and having fun and learning new things. And so we have Marilyn Kinney and we have Laura Alexander with us from the Adult Horse Committee. We also have Brendan Gregson with us, and we've been talking about all of the great opportunities to learn more stuff. But before we leave today, we also want to talk about what can we share with people right now. So someone that's listening, some kind of information that we can leave with them. And one of the things that we were talking about is, well, let me back up. So one of the things we were talking about is how much Brandon has learned. So Brandon, share what you just said about being an extension agent.
Again, I have a decent background. Growing up, going way, way back, we had horses. Growing up, my grandpa had horses, but they were your basic use horse. We worked cows on them. Outside of shaking a sack, you might have to use the horse every now and then, to work cows. But since I've been in extension, I've learned a whole lot more about horsemanship and trail and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know that all that existed before I became an extension agent. And so still, 19 years later, though, when I'm sitting in their committee meetings with them, just like the other day, I'm sitting there taking notes, getting down their plans, their ideas, what they want, what they need, and they're talking, and I'm having to decipher what is all of this. So I had to kind of put the brakes on just a minute and say, yeah, y'all are speaking your language. Let me interpret just a little bit. So, but I'm learning a whole lot from them,
Well, that's one of the wonderful things about having so many great volunteers that help out with what we do. I mean, we try to do as much as we can as extension agents, but there's a wide variety of topics that we cover in all of our discipline areas. And, as smart as we think that we are, we can't be an expert in everything. So having people that are experts in it is really, really helpful. So maybe you grew up with horses, maybe you didn't. So how often do you hear people say, I'm just thinking, little girls, I want a horse. So what does that really mean? What does horse ownership mean? So let's talk through some of the things that people really need to think about owning a horse.
It means planning on learning about them forever, because there's always something new to learn. There's always something new you can do. Marilyn was discussing earlier that with her first horse that she got as a young horse, all the things that he learned to do, that when she first got him, all he knew how to do was walk and
He was a walking
Park
horse, you know,
out.
flat walk, running, walking. He knew how to park out, which is a stretch. Nothing else.
So the
I
horses
didn't know
are,
any of that.
yeah, horses are living beings with personalities, right? I mean,
Yes.
horses have their own
And they let you
personalities,
know real quick.
and
But by
they
the
change
time
and
that
grow.
he was an older horse, I mean, he's already been inducted into the Tennessee Walking Horse Hall of Fame. So he's, you know, they learned a lot together over the, so you just can really become a partner with your horse. And I think that's what a lot of
them
people
I
are looking
learned
for.
through these programs from the horse committee.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot from participating, that it wasn't just breed specific. You could translate this from any breed
Mm-hmm.
to, you know, for like confirmation.
So what does confirmation mean?
Their structure, like where their shoulders maybe come off their withers, how straight or crooked their legs can be.
Mm-hmm.
It's their skeletal and their muscle foundation. And different breeds have different characteristics.
Okay.
Walking horses have usually a longer neck and a longer face. Quarter horses are usually more compact. That's why they're quarter. But, so those characteristics define different breeds.
Just like people are built different. I mean, horses
Right,
are
right.
built different, skeletally,
Or
muscularity.
different breeds of
yeah.
dogs,
Yeah.
same
Right.
type of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Certain horses are better at some things because of their build. Like thoroughbreds are long and lean and they jump better than a quarter horse sometimes, you know. So it has to do with their structure.
Okay.
A lot of
So
it
for
has to do.
people who've either never owned horses before or who maybe, you know, like Brandon, their grandparents had horses, but they didn't really have a lot of exposure, there are things that you really need to consider before you get your first horse. Like you need to consider housing. Where are you going to keep this horse? If you have room at your house to put a barn and some shelter for the animal, you know, good source of water close by that's clean, what are you going to feed this animal? You need to, you know, check into nutrition and see for this animal at its age, you know, what kind of food does it need and what kind of pasture does it need. You need to consider transportation. How are you going to, do you have a truck and a trailer that's suitable to transport this animal? Because even if you don't go to horse shows, there might be times where you have to take the animal to the vet, or in the case of emergency management situations, you might need to, if your house is getting ready to flood, you might need to transport it to safety before the water comes up. And that's something that a lot of people learned the hard way in the
Yeah.
last few years. You also, if you don't have a lot of knowledge about horses, you might want to get involved with a horse trainer and definitely have a vet come out and look at the horse you want to get. And both of those would be professionals that would be able to help you decide if that is a suitable horse for what you're wanting to do. Because you certainly don't want to get something that is going to make you afraid of it, that you're not going to want to work with it. You want to get something that is suitable for what you're wanting to do and for your level of experience.
Okay. So what do you think is probably like one of the most surprising things for people that they learn once they get a horse? So, you know, I want to own a horse. Now I have one. I never thought of this.
One of the things is people don't realize how delicate a horse can be. They get the wrong feed. They get too much of a certain feed. They don't get enough feed. They have a very delicate digestive system. It's not like cows that can, or goats can eat anything.
Very different digestive systems.
I didn't
Yeah.
know they were so fragile. And you feed them the wrong feed, or they get a moldy feed or something, and they colic, which means they can't regurgitate. So they have an impaction, and it will rupture their stomach. And it can happen before you realize it's happening. You've got to learn your horse's tail. Like, my horse never rode over on both sides, and he started doing that.
Something was wrong.
He was colicking.
Animal behavior is a big deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you can't just throw them in a grassy area and expect them to thrive. That grass may not have any nutrition. So you've got to decide, you should not have a horse on a small pasture if that's all you're going to feed them. You've got to supplement. And so you can't just take it for granted. You can just put them out there, if they'll eat. It's not, they don't always eat weeds, or they start eating things that aren't good for them because they're hungry. We have an awful lot of malnutrition that people think, they can just put them there and they can eat anything. They can't. It's not, they have to have things that will help be nutrition for them. Because if you don't give them the right things, then they're going to starve to death.
Right.
This is a conversation that I have on a regular basis, and so you guys need to come do some site visits with me. So, there's a lot of things like that people do not understand before getting this horse. And then they're kind of dumbfounded later. I didn't realize that I was going to have to do all of this alteration to my pasture or manage weeds like I'm going to have to.
Trim their hooves.
Trim their hooves.
Those hooves are
float
like
their
our fingernails,
teeth.
they continue to
Yeah.
grow. And if you don't trim them, it will make
Cause a
them
lot of problems.
when they can't walk.
And a lot of people don't make the differentiation. A livestock or livestock to some people, but a horse is very, very different than a cow. Four compartmented stomach versus a monogastric, which is singular. So those things operate differently. So you have to pay better attention to what they're eating. So.
The great thing about this day and age is there's so much information available online. You have so many resources like the Extension Office and the Horse Committee to help you get with the right people to understand your situation and make recommendations.
So speaking of online resources, so we always caution people to be really careful about, because there's, not everything on the internet is true. So do you have a resource that you like?
Well, I mean, the Extension Service is obviously a great resource, and honestly,
No
the vet
plug,
school
or
too. Yeah, the A&M vet school, they're a great resource. They have a lot of information available. Your own veterinarian, or if you're considering getting your first horse, just a local veterinarian that you would consider using is always a great source and knows a lot of good horse people in the area.
And they know a lot of horse owners that I look for people that had Tennessee Walkers, because I'd never owned one before. It was my first horse. He was backyard, literally. And I didn't know anything about Tennessee Walkers. So I went to a feed store and a barn. I contacted them. I learned, then I got involved all the way. Samara showed, did all her work, So your vets, local vets, are a great resource for finding other either breed owners or just other horse owners that I would love to tell people what I went through. I was the first-time horse owner.
Okay.
It's a wonder we didn't kill each other. But I learned by each thing. But I listened to other people. And back then, we didn't have the internet so much. But we had videos, VHS. And you learn by watching and by listening. And that's the best way to learn is try to make contact with someone you know. I've had several people say, they put in contact with me. Or I'll go look at a horse with someone if I can, especially if it's a walking horse. I know what I'm looking for. I've had one since 1982. So your local people, your local resources are some of your best help. Find someone that has a horse, owned a horse. I remember being a beginner horse owner. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about horses. I still don't know a lot, but I'm learning every day.
Yeah. Well, and Brandon, I think you mentioned in one of the breaks about how you noticed a very strong social support network among horse owners and the committee members and that kind of thing. So
They can
relying on
carry
each
further
other.
past this to being a member of the committee. I mean, these guys, I listen to them talk. I do a lot of listening and watching, so I can pick
That's
up
because
things.
I can talk over you.
Right. But they'll go on rides together, just go out of town together on a weekend and go on rides. I listen to them talk about it all the time. And so it's a social thing too. It brings people together.
And we belong to other horse communities. I do a lot of trail obstacle, not as much as I do, but I'm also a member of the Trails Coalition in the Sam Houston National Forest, creating horse trails. So you've had other breeds and everything. So we all have a connection at some point, might have been in the past. So we all have a connection with other areas of expertise that we know about. So it's like, well, hey, Becky knows something, So we can help. Any other horse person can maybe help you connect with someone else that can help you better than them.
Right.
I have no problem saying I don't know anything.
Well, and Brandon, you said this a few times throughout the show so far. It's a lot of learning by doing, and experience can be the best teacher. You just kind of see things that happen
And along that vein, if you're a parent who has a child who is interested in getting into horses, my best advice is find someone who will let your child come over and clean stalls and bathe horses and do all the tasks that aren't involved in riding. Because if all they ever do is ride and they think that's all horse ownership is, that's not really a great overview of everything that's involved. So if you can find someone that will let your child come over and actually do some of the work, it will deepen their bond with horses, or they'll decide it's not for them, one or the other.
And they can come clean my barn anytime they want.
That's right.
Okay, so we're going to take another break, and when we're going to come back, we'll just some closing thoughts about horse ownership and the horse committee and what does it mean to own a horse and all that kind of good stuff, because we've got some great knowledge right here in this room. You are listening to the Extension Hour, 104.5, 106.1 worldwide on www.irlonestar.com. We'll be right back.
Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service is all about extending knowledge and providing solutions. We do that by using science-based information to create high-quality and relevant education for the people of Texas. More importantly, this outstanding education is delivered locally, right here in our county. We encourage lasting and effective change that helps our communities and our county thrive. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make their lives better.
Don't miss Lone Star Community Radio on TV and YouTube. Our talk show and music shows are featured on Our City TV, Suddenlink Channel 12, and have their own YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with posted shows and comment on them below the video.
From the beginning, the main purpose of the Cooperative Extension Service has been to change human behavior by teaching people how to apply the results of scientific research. By utilizing a holistic, multi-level approach, Extension family and community health programs encourage health and well-being for everyone. Addressing values, concerns, and needs with reliable science-based information, Extension programs help people lead healthier lives. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make their lives better.
Welcome back to the Extension Hour. We're here on Fridays, 1 to 2 p.m., and that also runs live on 104.5 and 106.1. And did you guys know that we're podcast? So you can go back and listen. And if someone has, I want to know more about owning a horse, they can go back and listen to the one that aired on September 6th, 2019. We've been doing program planning for the upcoming year, and so this is about the time of year that I get really confused on what year is it even. But yeah, so podcast, so you can go back and listen to any of the programs that we've done. And so, as I mentioned before, we have awesome guests who come visit with us. We talk about our people, our programs, our partnership. You guys, as part of the horse committee, that makes you our people. And we mentioned some programs that are happening, and then lots of partnerships as well. So you talked about the AHQHA. I may be putting extra. Put a couple little extra. And then the Houston Mounted Patrol. So lots of partnerships, connections, really kind of what we're all about in terms of also education. So like we said, helping Texans better their lives. And riding horses is one of those things that help people better their lives, right? And I know with the two of you being part of the horse committee and being lifelong horse owners, lovers, you've really found a lot of great benefits to owning a horse and learning about horses and that kind of thing. So this last segment, we just have a few more minutes. Some last thoughts you want to share with people about horses?
They can be your greatest blessing, and they can be one of your most trying blessings, because each horse is different.
Learning lesson.
Very much so. But it's more so for females sometimes, for bonding with a horse. There's a lot of gentlemen out there that do, but you'll see more of it in females. I don't know why we have a different gene thing or whatever.
So you're saying women tend to...
We have a tendency to bond
with horses, but
more. We don't want to dominate. We want him to be our partner. And I have cried over with my horse many a time in the past, and they have built... I had one for 30 years. Odie, he was almost my first one. And I knew what he was thinking, and he knew what I was thinking. So you don't always get a bond with every animal, but sometimes that was my soulmate. So it's the same thing for all of us. It's an experience that if you don't have the passion, and it has to be a passion, because it's not a cheap hobby. You buy the horse, and then it's the accessories that cost you. You've got a bigger trailer, a bigger truck to pull the bigger trailer, a bigger saddle. So, but it's well worth the expense.
Right. Go ahead, Laura.
There's still a lot of volunteer opportunities available too for people who want to get into horses but aren't sure they're ready to take on that kind of expense.
Or have a place to put them.
Or have a place to put them. You can get involved in any of the therapy programs. I know Henry's Home Horse and Human Sanctuary, they take a lot of volunteers, and it takes a lot of people to run a place that size. They have 20-some horses and basically one lady running it with all her volunteers. So, I mean, that's a great way to get involved and learn if that is something that is your passion or not, without going to all the expense of going ahead and purchasing your horse and lessons and all the things that you're going to need. So.
And I in terms of the therapy establishments, that, maybe Henry's Home isn't the one, but there's several around the county. I mean, for some reason, we just have quite a few here. Inspiration Acres was one of them. Inspiration Ranch that I went out and did a site visit for. They've got quite a few. They were at one location. They're moving to another, and they're trying to get well established. But that's one of those therapy establishments where they work with, I believe, mentally challenged young people, and so all those places need volunteerism.
Yes.
Sure, it's a great place to learn. And for youth, another place, so obviously 4-H.
Right.
4-H is perfect. But also the YMCA, the one that we have here in Conroe.
They have a horse
they
program,
have a
yes.
horse program, so it's
And
a
there's
good
a
way
lot
to...
of branches around that. They have summer camps for kids to be on horses. So I don't think have an adult summer camp, but it's a great place to learn from the ground, literally from the ground up. Because you can't always, I moved around all of my life. And we never had a place for a horse until my husband retired from the Navy, and we moved here in 1979. And I had a backyard. The horse was in a fence with a dog and a cat, which is not the best place to raise a horse, but it's something that you've got to think about. Do you have the finances? Because if you board them somewhere, that can really up your finances.
So, and we had talked before about, you just mentioned that Montgomery County tends to be kind of a hot spot for horse rescue. And so, if you are ready for horse ownership, it's possible to go and to have a rescue horse, similar to like you might go to the shelter to get a pet dog, but much more responsibility involved. I mean, a dog has responsibility as well, but we're talking horses, bigger and more expensive and all those kinds of things. So we have to make sure we're ready. A bigger dog house.
Because I have two animals from the Houston SPCA.
Okay.
That a horse and a donkey. And they have enriched my life because I know what they've become since I've got them and given them love. They used to be afraid if you touched them or if you raised your hand. Now, it's no big deal. So you can let them learn and trust again by love and stuff. So rescues are, with any species, you're giving them a home, a new beginning.
Yeah.
Well, and I mentioned before how much we appreciate volunteers and people that, sharing their passion. And obviously you two are very passionate about what you do. And you want to share that with others through the Horse Committee and the variety of programs that you do. So Marilyn, Kinney, and Laura Alexander have been our guests today. And we really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Freeze Branding Clinic on September 21st. And call us if you have more information. Look us up on, or if you need more information, call us or look us up on Facebook. So we'll be back next Friday, every Friday right here, 1 to 2. You're listening to the Extension Hour, People, Programs, Partnerships, and helping Texans make their lives better.